This film is exactly what you think it is when it comes to the MonsterVerse movies right now. Great monster clashing, human characters are the problem, but this is definitely a monster brawl type movie that you just have to enjoy it for what it is. What is up, guys and MonsterVerse fans? Welcome back to my channel. This is OTD Movie Reviews. My name is On The Brinkcat, and today, of course, I am reviewing the highly anticipated blockbuster this year, and that movie is Godzilla x Kong: A New Empire, or Godzilla Kong: A New Empire, saying that the X is silent, however you want to call it. This movie is once again directed by Adam Wingard, who directed Godzilla vs. Kong, and this movie stars the return of Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, with Dan Stevens. Godzilla and the almighty Kong face a colossal threat hidden deep within the planet, challenging their very existence and their survival of the human race. New MonsterVerse movie. Now, when it comes to the MonsterVerse movies, it's pretty mixed for me, but I enjoyed most of the MonsterVerse movies, from the first Godzilla movie, from Kong Skull Island. Godzilla King of the Monsters is definitely my least favorite in the MonsterVerse series. It's a movie that got basically monster movies wrong in my personal opinion, but it all improves with Godzilla vs. Kong, which is definitely my favorite movie in the MonsterVerse. I think Adam Wingard directed that movie extremely well, so he's returned to direct this movie. Of course, I was anticipating for this film. From the trailers, I'm like, I know exactly what this film is going to be. It's not going to be like Godzilla Minus One, because Godzilla Minus One is definitely the best Godzilla film that came out in a while. This looks nothing like that. It looks like a fun B-movie monster clash blockbuster that just knows exactly what it is. And did I get that from Godzilla x Kong: A New Empire? Absolutely. This film is exactly what you think it is when it comes to the MonsterVerse movies right now. Great monster clashing, human characters are the problem, but this is definitely a monster brawl type movie that you just have to enjoy it for what it is. But would I say this movie is better than Godzilla vs. Kong? In my opinion, no. This movie has more issues than Godzilla vs. Kong, but I gotta say, I had a fun time with Godzilla x Kong: A New Empire. I would say one of my biggest positives with this film is absolutely the visuals. The look of this movie looks absolutely beautiful in this film. From the visual effects standpoint, from the action scenes in general, this is a good looking MonsterVerse movie. It's very colorful and lighthearted comparing to the other MonsterVerse movies. Now, I gotta say, Kong is definitely the main monster in this movie. This movie is called Godzilla x Kong, but Kong is technically the main monster in this movie, and I think this is the best that I've seen Kong in this MonsterVerse so far. We get to explore a lot more of Kong. We get to actually spend a bit of time with Kong. There are certain scenes in this movie that basically, it's all about Kong with no human characters. It's just Kong interacting with other monsters. Of course not speaking, just doing the actions, and you understand completely what they're saying. And that's one of the things I really loved about this film. Yes, there are human characters in this film, they have their story in the film, and it takes over most of this film, which I'll talk about that later. But we get to spend a bit of time with Kong in this movie as well, and I thought Kong's character in this film was really good in this film. And the look of Kong looks badass. He is so badass in the film when it comes to the action scenes. He's awesome to see on the big screen. I really do love the chemistry between Kong and this mini Kong character. That is named Zuko in this film. I thought the chemistry is very, very sweet in this film. But Zuko is also a really cool character as well in the film. He actually throws down when he needs to. Now, if you're Godzilla fans out there, and you've seen Godzilla Minus One, first of all, don't compare this to Godzilla Minus One. You can tell already that these two are completely different movies. But if you are fans of Godzilla in general, and you want to see a lot of Godzilla, you're going to be disappointed, because he's not in the movie all that much. He's only in a couple of scenes in the first two acts, and in the third act, he's just in the whole third act to team up with Kong to fight. That's why Godzilla is technically in this film. But when you do see Godzilla, he is awesome in this film. I love the pink scale that they gave Godzilla in this film. He looks pretty awesome in this film. I wish we could have got more of him, but unfortunately, Godzilla is not in the movie all that much, but Godzilla is still pretty cool in the film. And when you see Godzilla and Kong teaming up against these villains, it is awesome to see. Them two are really cool together in the final act of this film. The final act of this film is definitely monster mayhem. But Godzilla is cool in the film, but Kong takes more of a spotlight in this film, unfortunately. I would also say one of the villains in the film, Scar King, is a badass villain for Kong. He is so menacing in this film. He is terrifying to look at in this film, and his design is also really cool in the film. Their fight scenes together with him and Kong are badass in this film. And there's also another villain in this film, which I'm not going to spoil if you have not seen the trailer. This is a spoiler-free review, but the other villain is also really cool as well. But let's already talk about the action scenes, because man, the monster brawl scenes, the action in general, it is ridiculous, it's insane, but it knows it. It's a fun freaking time. The cinematography when it comes to the action scenes look fantastic in this film. The visuals look very, very stunning in this film. And just the overall monster mayhem, you know, the titans clash in this film. Every single action scene in the film, I'm like, this is worth seeing for the action. The action is a blast in this movie, in my personal opinion. Especially if you're into, like, B-movie territory, there's a lot of scenes in Godzilla x Kong where it's like, this is so ridiculous, but you just can't help enjoying yourself without it. I think the action is really well done in this film. Adam Wingard directed the film very well. But what about the human characters? They're alright. They surprised me, actually. I would say Dan Stevens and Brian Tyree Henry stood out in this film, my personal opinion. I really liked them too in this film. Dan Stevens plays this badass vet that is really awesome in this film. And Brian Tyree Henry is definitely the comedic relief in the film, and I find him really hilarious in this film. There's also a relationship between Rebecca Hall and the deaf girl from Godzilla vs. Kong. She has a bit of a connection in this film that turns this film very ridiculous at certain elements. But I thought their chemistry is actually very sweet in this film. It's a good mother and daughter type chemistry in this film. But I gotta say, one of my biggest issues when it comes to Godzilla x Kong is their adventure in the film. Their adventure in the film actually goes a bit boring at a couple of elements. Not to say that the characters are bad in this movie, the human characters are fine in this film, it's just the adventure that I was a little bit bored with. And the editing of this movie is a bit of a mess overall. There's a lot of scenes where it just goes one scene with Kong, a little scene with Godzilla, and then it cuts back with the human characters. And they do that a lot in this film, especially towards the first act where I'm like, man, this film doesn't really know what to focus on. And you can tell like Godzilla is definitely the side character of this film because like I said, he's not in the film all that much. But we get little glimpses of Godzilla just explaining, yeah, he's in the film also. Which makes, like I said, the editing very, very messy. And their adventure in this film, the human character's adventure in the film, I was not interested. And there are certain elements of this film where the film gets really freaking ridiculous when it comes to the storyline, where I'm just like, my god, can this film get any more ridiculous? There's a lot of moments in this film where I'm just like, man, this film goes way too far with the silliness at a couple of moments. Overall, guys, I had a fun time with Godzilla x Kong and the New Empire. I think this is the movie that knows exactly what it is. It's a monster action messy film that knows exactly what it is. The action is insane. Kong is badass in this film. Godzilla, for the scenes he's in, he's also really cool in the film. The villains are cool. Mini Kong is awesome. The human characters are fine in the film, but what dives the film down is their adventure in the film. I didn't really care too much about it. I just want to see monsters do stuff in the film, not really caring about the human characters all that much. And the film definitely goes way too ridiculous at a lot of elements. So definitely this is not my favorite film in the MonsterVerse. I do think Godzilla vs. Kong balances the human elements and the monster elements very, very well. This movie does it a bit too messy overall. But it's still a really fun time. So I'm going to give this film 2 ratings actually. For MonsterVerse fans, I would say go see this film on the big screen. The film will look amazing on the big screen. I saw this in IMAX 3D. It looks fantastic, but just for like casual moviegoers, they just want to see just a fun, simple movie overall. There are going to be parts that will bore you, so I would say go see this movie at a matinee price. So yeah, this is the first time that I'm giving 2 ratings for a film, but this is a film from, depending on your point of view. If you're MonsterVerse fans, go and see this movie as soon as you possibly can, because this movie definitely gives you exactly what you wanted. But also for other moviegoers that just want to see a fun movie, there are going to be parts that will bore you, so that's why I gave this film 2 ratings. So guys, that is my review for Godzilla x Kong, A New Empire. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments below, and what is your favorite movie in the MonsterVerse? Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below, keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel notified for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.